As a school system, take it serious. When a book comes off a shelf, it's a really big deal.
For the first time tonight, we are hearing from the superintendent of Knox County Schools after he made the decision to put the historic novel Roots back on library shelves.
It was removed earlier this month after librarians and a review team determined legally that book violated an amendment of the state's Age-Appropriate Materials Act. 10 News reporter Olivia Daig sat down with the superintendent today to discuss the decision to override that move and return it to library shelves. Olivia?
Rob and John, Superintendent John Ricewick says he didn't make this call because of historical significance of the book, although he didn't deny its value. Rather, it came down to uncertainty about the interpretation of state law. He says that gray area led him to err on the side of access of the book.
The award-winning novel, based on the story and ancestry of a man with deep ties to East Tennessee, has been put back on shelves in Knox County schools. But the man behind that decision, Superintendent John Ricewick, says he had to make that call based on facts, not feelings.
People think that there's this what's such a historic book, you can just override for that. The law doesn't give us space for that.
The Age-Appropriate Materials Act, amended in 2024, gave school librarians 5 criteria to pull a book, from nudity to sadomasochistic abuse. A passage depicting rape flagged Alex Haley's Roots for the latter.
Sadomasochistic abuse is not a term we use a lot. It's not a term in education we have a lot of familiarity with.
So the superintendent consulted attorneys who offered mixed opinions. He says working with both criminal and educational definitions muddied the waters.
When it comes to me, I want to err on the side of access for a book. And if there is some ambiguity in interpretation of that law, then I want to put that book back on the shelf.
Lawmakers, school board members, and even the author's family pushed back on removing the title, citing its historical and cultural importance. Ricewick doesn't negate that.
You know, Alex Haley, the author, is a huge impact on this community, but not just on this community.
He says he had to look at the law.
I don't know if there was getting it right. I think it was more about there was a lack of clarity.
So for now, a novel with deep East Tennessee roots can stay in school libraries, while bigger questions about how the law is applied remain.
And Olivia, we know there are more than 100 titles on the banned list right now. Explain what the superintendent says about moving forward with that list.
That's right, John. So for the last 2 years, librarians, after getting some training, flagged books they felt could violate the law. And then a review committee whittles that list down. That's how we have that 100. And the superintendent says he has no plans of going through that list title by title to see if any of those titles can come back to shelves. However, he did say he'll ask the school board to consider a mechanism to restore books to shelves.